Hello and welcome to the Future of Workplace, a series of interactions with technology leaders on what the workplace of the future should be like. I am Anil Chopra, VP Research and Consulting at Cyber Media Research, and your host for this episode. Now, today, we're going to be having a very interesting discussion around maximizing output from a flexible workforce. We all know that the current pandemic has changed the very definition of the workplace. It has brought us into an era where work from home has become very commonplace. We've become so used to it that even as things return to normal, some things are not likely to change according to various global studies. For instance, employees don't want to follow standard office timings of the pre-pandemic days. They enjoy the flexibility of being able to work from anywhere and the flexibility in their work timings. Similarly, organizations have also enjoyed higher productivity and reduced overheads from the work from home culture. The question now is, what is the best way forward as things start to open up? How can organizations leverage the best of both work from home and work from office worlds so as to maximize output from the workforce? Now, technology plays a key role in enabling this, which is why it's important for CIOs and technology leaders to understand the new workforce dynamics so that they can implement the right solutions for a flexible workforce. These are a few things that we'll discuss today, for which it's my pleasure to welcome some very special guests with us. We have with us Bhupendra Pant, CIO of OTE Group. May I request to have all the panelists in the center, please? Yes, so we have with us Bhupendra Pant, CIO OTE Group. Request Bhupendra to just raise your hand. Hi, Bhupendra. We have with us Arshad Kunabi, who is the head of ICT at Ooredoo Kuwait. Hello, Arshad. And we have Mohammed Shahawe, who is the MEA Enterprise Solutions Specialist, Endpoint and Security Products, Intel Sales and Marketing Group at Intel. Welcome, Mohammed. And welcome to the Future of Workplace, gentlemen. I think it's a pleasure to have you all on board on this discussion. Let me start off with, Bhupendra. How has this current pandemic really impacted the dynamics of your organization's workforce? What sort of hybrid culture has your organization really adopted? You want to give us a bit of an overview on that?
So about OT, if I tell, we are a company of automotive franchisee and ancillary and consumer electronics. We have a chain of showrooms and service center showrooms. We are also into the business of chemical manufacturing and providing a manpower training. So it's a business which has around 2,000 odd workforce. And like everyone, the challenge when the pandemic hit, it was very sudden transition to work from home scenario. And it was no less than a business continuity plan, which was kind of put into place. And what IT was supposed to be doing in quarter or months, that was expected to be done within few days or a week. So IT has delivered that so quickly, providing resources. We had VPN capability, which we kind of scaled up to provide remote access to the employees, people who didn't have laptops, providing them resources. Some of them were kind of enabled to access corporate applications through their personal devices. So these are the quick thing we did. At the same time, a lot of employees required hand-holding. Their first time kind of were doing this work from home kind of scenario. So they required a lot of hand-holding and that training was also provided. So this is how this was kind of operationalized, and very soon the team, with the support of each other, which was there, the business supported everyone. So it was kind of put in place. Very soon these people mastered or they got used to work from home environment. So which continued for almost a year and a half now. And after the things are opening up, we are coming back to we started with 50-60% of physical attendance in office to support, which gave us a flexible working, like you could divide your teams into who would be present physically and who would be remotely supporting. So it gives them a flavor of not only coming back to office, but also supporting remotely. So a lot of roles in our organization, they are kind of need physical presence. If I give you, if it is a service center where the vehicles are serviced, there cannot be a remote working there. So there are functions like HR, IT, finance, credit department. So these were kind of good candidate, which kind of were very efficiently and productively got used to doing work from home scenario. So now as the people are coming back to the organization, we are kind of fully operational with the physical workforce now. And there are selective work from home scenario, which is approval based. As a culture, we are not something which is called truly hybrid working. But as a mindset, definitely we are approaching there. It is beginning to kind of bring new questions. These people who are demanding it, bringing a question in front of leadership to take right action. So in future, it is going to evolve. So that's what is, as a mindset, it has to evolve in the senior leadership, and that is happening. To understand the need of these employee and the organization, and have a win-win situation for both. So that's what is my opening comment on this.
Thank you, Bhupendra. I think wonderful to hear from you that although things have started opening up, the mindset has changed. That is very, very important. And to be able to, adapt to that mindset, that is very, very important. And it's really great to hear how things have happened. So, Mohammed, based on what we just heard about, hybrid work culture and all that, what challenges do you really see, in enabling the workforce to collaborate in a hybrid work environment?
Yeah, thanks, Anil. And first of all, thanks for giving us such a great opportunity to be with such, prestigious audience and share your thoughts and concern about the hybrid workforce and the future of workplace. Back to your question about that challenge. Actually, I believe we, from management and the high level perspective, moving from office based to a hybrid working model, there might be two challenges associated with it. One of them might be related to how to manage the hybrid team, and the other one is maybe related to how to build a strong hybrid cultures. I will not talk about how to manage a hybrid team, because this is a totally different track. But when it comes to cultures, moving employees from office base with in-person workspace culture, which mainly focusing on social interaction between employees and their leadership between employees and their each others, happening through the face-to-face meeting, chit chat, coffee break and things like that, to a totally different conversation with a remote workplace culture, which mainly depend on, if I would say, autonomy rather than social interaction. And let me tell you this personal experience. 2 years before, before pandemic hits, I used to have this, multiple meetings with my colleague. We just get into a room for 1 or 2 hours, solve something or work on a project or something like that, right? But when pandemic hits, we replaced all of these, face-to-face interaction through a virtual. And guess what? Right now, I used to observe that we used to have more shorter meetings and less longer meetings. So right now our cultures, and this is also one of the challenges that maybe big organization need to adopt. I mean, how to change the culture from person workplace to a sort of, autonomy-based culture with short meeting, to the point, one-on-one, over video calls, to maximize, the concept of autonomy and productivity. And I really like, the concept that you just mentioned about, the phase of deployment. Like, okay, we will not go for 100% office base or not 100% hybrid base. It's gonna be some use cases that need to be in the office and some use cases that can happen in a hybrid mode.
Right, thanks. I think good observations from your side. And of course, people do miss the coffee breaks and all that, but now people are getting used to
Yes.
the virtual way of meeting as we are meeting right now. And meetings, of course, are becoming shorter, as you rightly said, because people are kind of getting used to, this entire way of working. Arshad, you have heard, all the views from the other two panelists. People have become used to this kind of remote collaboration. How have you seen, employee expectations kind of evolve? Are you seeing them getting used to it? Are you seeing their expectations change over this period of time with remote collaboration and this new way of working?
Thank you. First of all, let me introduce Ooredoo Kuwait. We are part of Ooredoo Group, who is a leading telecommunication service provider in Middle East, Africa, and Far East. And I would agree with my colleagues that the pandemic has really changed a lot in the way we are working. As a telecom operator, we have a very dynamic environment. I still remember that I used to spend at least every day 4 to 5 hours of physical meetings. In our tower, we have a floor dedicated for meeting rooms, and still we were usually facing a challenge to book or find an available physical room for our meetings. And suddenly we had the pandemic and we were all pushed to work remotely. And in my opinion, prior to the pandemic, there was a trust issue with the virtual collaboration. If you remember, we were always facing so many issues related to video quality, voice quality. These meetings were not starting on time. There was a human preference always for the physical meetings. And the pandemic has pushed everyone toward the virtual workplace, not only the end users, but even the technology providers. In my opinion, the tools that are used for virtual collaboration have really evolved over the last 2 years, big times in terms of features, integration with other collaboration tools like the mail server, the calendar for the meetings. Now, this is the future. This is where we are going, where we are heading. Now, in terms of the expectations, I think the situation was more into reality. This is the situation and this is what we need to deal with. So we all had to cope and tailor ourselves to accept the new way of working remotely. And this is not even limited to the internal collaboration. As a telecom operator, we continuously run projects. We were even mandating in our contracts that project teams have to be working on sites. And now I can tell you that for the last 2 years, all our projects are now going at least 90% efficient, with teams that are working completely from outside. It is not as efficient as on-site project team, but day after day, it's getting better. Even the internal policies and procedures in terms of remote access to data, getting revised for a better way of running all our operations, whether it is internal, working with suppliers, even if issuing virtual purchase orders rather than physical, which was always the norm before. The customer journeys are going more into digital, contactless journeys related to, for example, digital identity authentication, digital contracts. These are all hot topics. This is where we see the technology is heading and where we should be focusing in the coming years.
Wonderful. Thanks, Arshad. I think great viewpoint from you. Yes, Bhupendra, you want to add something?
Thanks for adding the view, Ashraf. I just want to add few points built on that. Very nice, well said, Ashraf. So there is no doubt that the COVID has accelerated the pace of digitization and remote collaboration. But if you look at remote working has been around before COVID also. And there is a large part of employees who have actually done it for the first time during the COVID or during the pandemic. So they started as a beginner in this. They struggled to, as I said earlier, struggled to try their hand on it. And in due course, they got used to it or sort of mastered it. So most of the employees have done it now successfully for a prolonged period of time, more than a year and a half. And they have not only done it on a professional level, but a lot of their personal life was also on a, they have done it on a digital front also. If you look at their learning, their certifications they did, or the hobby and other interaction they do, these were all on the, were done remotely online. So in the family also, they were seeing all digital interaction, like their kids going for online, attending school online. So this has basically has evolved from learning to a kind of a way of life today. So it is more or less kind of today when they come back, employees come back to the work, there is a tendency to, if I call it, they want to do more with less. They want to be kind of more productive by focusing more time on remote working and come to office or workplace where it is absolutely essential and it adds right value. They want to be in control of their time. So they want to schedule even when they are doing a remote working, they want to schedule that work where they feel they can be more productive to do that work. There is also an element of work-life balance here. I mean, during COVID, people got a very good chance to pursue hobby, like some people do gardening, cooking, music, doing online certification. Somebody could spend good family time. So with all they have experienced a very good work-life balance, and working with that had given them a very good sense of fulfillment, which was kind of many of them have never experienced before. So there is, after the workforce come back to office, there is more demand and hunger for that fulfillment, and they want to be more in control of their time. So at the same time, there are expectation of some people who have kind of done it on a prolonged basis. They want to come back and follow work in a corporate culture. There is that population also, which doesn't want to be kind of, for them, work life and personal life are separate, and they want to perform better while these are the 9 to 5 work hour, and then separate their personal life. So that's also is a percentage of population, but that is reducing now. So more and more it is flexibility what people are expecting now.
Yeah, Bhupendra, but just one question I want to ask you there. Good, you pointed out about work-life balance and how people are able to devote more time to a lot of personal things. But there is another counter, point to that, working from home has also led to a lot of, stress, frustration, many times demotivation, because, there's nobody real colleague to, work out with and have a conversation or something to kind of vent it out. That is another aspect, that was also happening during that time. So did you also face this kind of an issue in, in team management, and what do you think about that? How did you really handle that?
We did face this in the beginning, definitely, when people were kind of, grappling with this change. If you look at lockdown was immediate, and everyone, like in the family, if you look at not only the employee, his family, his kids maybe needing resource for attending online class, space in the house to do that, and the same time employee, the spouse. So each one's, though they are present physically in the house, but the setting was very unusual. So the expectations, first time, I mean, the family members saw the different side of employee when he attends online discussions or business meetings from home. So this all also change the dynamics at home. So at the same time, it actually, in the beginning, it created disruption in the family, right? You were maybe struggling to kind of, though you are in the family, but you're struggling to give time to each other. So that was one thing.
Yeah.
And other is like when you are, these are what you mentioned, the coffee break or the conversation over that with the colleagues. So these are actually great source of productivity. They add motivation, and that is where was missing. And I don't think there can be a digital equivalent of that. But definitely what we did was our conversation, we had a coffee session with the team couple of times where we didn't discuss work, but it was more about how you are coping with the situation. What are your kind of people shared their fitness regime, how they are coping up and improving on being online, being productive, and what is going on, good, not so good part of what is going on with their family and friends during this pandemic, supporting each other. If people have learned something new, sharing with each other. So these were few things that really helped. So and there was enough time to do that because people don't have to travel to work. A session like meeting was short, but we definitely use these time to do all these interactions also. So that was good help. Yeah.
Yeah, Mohammed, I think you want to say something. You want to add to that? Yeah, please go ahead. Then I'll ask you another question.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, as you mentioned, Anil, you get the point. Working from home and this hybrid environment can lead to a lot of stress and frustration. I just need to share with the audience, what we have at Intel to come over this kind of, breaks. First of all, I think it's critical from the management perspective to really pay close attention to the team member stress and burnout signs. Like, if you have a talky person and that person is no longer talking anymore, or the other way around. So they have to really pay attention to that and try to intervene in advance and trying to, take care of such, burnout signs, like, doing sort of like, task prioritization or delegation or thing like that. But this is, the work stuff. The fun stuff is because we are missing right now, this is, social interaction. We used to have at least every 1 quarter a virtual team building activity where we bring some, happiness and fun to, team building and doing some really cool activity. And even, as our colleague mentioned, coffee chat, at least every 1 week or couple of weeks, we have one coffee chat hours, not talking about the business. We just talking about, things, common interest, family, event and sport and things like that. And also one of the really good thing I like it that we are embracing that recently, like doing a contest, like cooking and dish of the day challenge, where everyone get into a video call, move their laptop to their kitchen, cook something on live, and share it with other team members. These types of things or activity can stress down the breakout signs a little bit. Yeah.
Yeah, but now you mentioned about all these activities and all that have been done to kind of de-stress people and all. So basically, what we're saying is that video conferencing has become a way of life in today's environment. But one thing one must understand is now VC is just not enough. There are many other technologies that come into play. So what, according to you, Mohammed, are some of those technologies which have become essential for teams to kind of enable them to maximize efficiency while working remotely?
Well, yeah, that's a really good question, Anil. So first of all, as you mentioned, video conference is not enough. Video conference has been, and used for a long time, as my colleague mentioned, and it have been, right now it's used really, really heavily recently. But also we need to think about what other kind of technology that we can leverage to help with this hybrid force environment. First of all, as part of your original question related to the expectation, employees right now start adopting this, digital experience to work remotely with each other, and even, gaining a lot of, experience about that. There is some sort of, as part of, the extra technology talking about as well, how to embrace a new way of collaboration other than video conference through the white board sharing or meeting notes, thing like that. I believe right now Microsoft Teams having a feature like that, like a walkie-talkie feature, where you can just broadcast a message to the entire people within that channel, regardless where they are right now, and they can check this message and reply to that later on. So a lot of things, not only related to the video conferencing, also about the collaboration, and also there should be also a sort of foundation related to the security. And I believe this is really critical because when you're having your employee within your office, you have the upper hand about, about security policies. But right now, your employees scattered all over the place with the hybrid, either their devices moved to home or back to the office. So you should have, new security, end-to-end security strategy baked inside the silicon itself to streamline, the process for them. Yeah, that's my take on that.
Thanks. Ashraf, I think, you did mention a couple of things about, collaboration and, some of the technology and their experience also, and as we said that, workplace isn't just about internal collaboration between employees. It is also requires interacting with the outside world, like customers, IT providers, past partners, suppliers. And I believe, Ooredoo has done some work in enabling this remote customer interactions, like, the recent, I believe, online eSIM or something that that was done. Can you just tell us a little about that and how you're really transforming the customer journey?
Yeah, sure. Before that, I just wanted to make a comment about the lifestyle of working at home. There was also sometimes a dangerous assumption that employees are always available, especially during the full lockdowns, where I have seen meetings happening at midnight, at late hours. So I think, in my opinion, one of the areas that we have to pay attention for is controlling the working remotely. So having the employee connected from home doesn't mean that he is always available for meetings and probably responding to emails or working calls. And there must be some control when it comes to when to start and finish the working hours. Now, coming back to your question, changing the journeys is not limited to the telecommunication operators. We have seen this across all the business lines, including the government. So, for example, now in Kuwait, the Authority of the Public Information has introduced a new application that allows us to digitally authenticate the customers and even request them to digitally sign contracts. So earlier, it was not possible to know who is the customer making the order using the digital channels. And we always had to send someone during the delivery to authenticate the identity of the customer. But today, as soon as we start collecting the customer information, we push a notification to the public authority application available as a mobile identity in every citizen mobile. They get a request that, for example, Ooredoo is trying to get your information to complete a new SIM card sales. Would you approve that? The moment the customer accepts that, the authority responds back to us with all the customer information and approving that this is the actual customer identity trying to buy. Customer would go through the catalog, add all the items to his basket, and at the time of the checkout, as a telecom operator, we have to get a legal binding. The customer has to sign a contract. Earlier, we used to print a copy, send it with the delivery courier to get it signed, and then scanned and upload it to our system. But today, again, using the same application, we push a digital version of the contract. It is digitally signed through the public authority application and returned back to us. And if the customer is buying an eSIM, for example, then the journey becomes completely contactless. We push a QR code for the customer. They just need to scan it, and then the SIM card profile gets installed on the mobile without any physical interaction between us and the customer. This is one use case. Today, I've seen proposal of what they call it the virtual shop. And this is, you can call it the next generation of the video chat. So rather than just meeting someone as we do today to respond to the customer inquiry, there are today new technologies where a complete shop is made available digitally. The moment the customer requests help on the digital channel, he will be connected with an agent sitting in an actual physical shop, but the total journey is digital, which means that now we are bringing the physical journey into the digital channels. That agent has access to all the devices that the customer might inquire about. They can show him the model, they can show him the feature. It's a complete physical journey made available through the digital channels.
That's great. I think great to hear about the eSIM and the complete journey from, it's a physical journey that is made digital, which actually brings me to this question to Bhupendra. First of all, if there's something that you want to add to, what Ashraf has just said. But another thing interesting is that, with everything, becoming virtual, now reliance on IT has obviously increased like never before. So what, according to you, is the kind of transformation really required in IT, to support the organization on this digital journey that, was just discussed? It will be interesting to know your views on that. If you have any interesting cases also, tell.
So, I mean, what pandemic has done is it has created a very good momentum for virtual, and there is more and more reliance on IT like never before. And what if I look at the main tenets of this, it would be like pandemic has definitely accelerated more automation. It has definitely pushed more e-commerce, and it has kind of pushed more rapid digitization. And if you look at what is expected from IT is to provide more system of anytime, anywhere, any device kind of access. While technology is already available in abundance for this, they have been available before pandemic also, like more cloud adoption, higher and higher bandwidth, making it seamless to access there. When they transition from work to remote, it should be a seamless kind of transition. Then there is more analytics of data, more services are offered on the mobile apps. There is more e-commerce, as I already said. As my colleague shared, there is a kind of virtual showroom or complete virtual journey of the customer. So that is very much like we also were talking about having a virtual car showroom, entire journey of seeing and experiencing a car to selecting a car and buying a car from there. So these are few things which are very much a kind of business can push. And it is not about only the technology. What is basically required is more and more technologies needed, and they are already there. And to sustain this momentum, what we need to have is more of a experience for these employees. In turn, they can create delight for the customer. So provide more and more digitization on their hand. If I have to take one example, one of the transformation we took was like when a customer goes for servicing of his vehicle, so he interacts with the service advisor. Usually this interaction is 5-10 minutes. He explains the problem, and then he gets the estimate and likely time when he will get his car back is what the interaction is all about. And within this 10 minutes, which this was purely a physical pen and paper interaction of service advisor. So what we kind of transform this into is now this advisor, when he communicates with the customer, he has a tablet on which just by entering the vehicle number, he has complete information. What was his last experience with us, whether he has bought many other vehicles from us, or what was his last service rating, or is he a VIP? So all these are, that context is now available for him to converse better with that customer. So he can, if you want to record customer's voice, his problem, what the customer is facing in his own words, he can always record a voice, or he can create a video. He can take pictures of the vehicle to know quickly, so that he focus more time on giving a good touch to the customer rather than telling him what is missing in the vehicle, or that customer feels, okay, this I am being taught how to manage a vehicle, or no. So that's completely transform the customer interaction. So it creates more delight, and more wow factor is there in this. So at the end of this interaction, customer gets, he's on the tab only, he's giving feedback, his receipt is digitally sent to him over email. So then all these are kind of the changes, if they are kind of put in a right context, it can help the company, it can help the employee, he enjoys his job, and in turn it's a more satisfied customers for us.
Yeah, wonderful. I think a lot of more and more of the customer's journey is becoming digital, and we are trying to use more and more of technology to enable that good customer experience, across the entire journey, across various phases of the journey. So that's, I think, the key change that we have really seen. Ashraf, you talked about customer experience and all, and you're talking about customer's journey, physical journey moving into digital and all that. What would be your expectations, some of your expectations from technology, to kind of maximize output from the workforce so that they can continue on this journey, they are able to bring this journey for the company, for the customers? What would be your expectations, some of your expectations from technology?
See, I think the main key to support the customer digital journey revolves around the availability of the APIs, the interfaces. One of the challenges that we usually face in IT, that our backend systems are designed for physical interactions. So you would find many of the business rules or know your customer rules, they are kind of designed or hard-coded within these systems, and they are not available for external systems, whether they are digital or even partner solutions to integrate with. So today, our focus from a technology point of view is to expose more and more services through web interfaces. And I believe this is the key focus today to enable more digitalizations. There are usually two approaches to that: either completely transform the backend applications for digital enablement, or creating a separation layer between the legacy platforms and the digital channels by introducing functionalities of the legacy platforms as services. So we are looking for the technologies that can enable us to easily expose our backend services as APIs. They should be easy to use. They should be also secure, because the more we go digital, the security aspects become more relevant here, where we have to pay additional attention and focus.
Wonderful. I think, very good point that you have raised here, that this thing, the API economy is kind of kicked in, where a lot of legacy applications are there which are designed for backend physical processes. They need to be digitally enabled, which is where API extension and making those services available through APIs become important. So, good. Thank you for sharing that. Very good example of that. Mohammed, last question coming to you. The pandemic is obviously is going to leave its mark on all of us. And so moving forward, what changes do you think, according to you, are going to be permanent in the workplace? And what changes do you think are temporary? You can, share your views around what the other panelists have said and answer this. And possibly, you have a presentation, you could probably.
Yeah, sure. To the point. Thanks, and as usual, and thanks, Anil. You just hit, the core of our subject. So actually, I created, really small presentation to sum things things up, and having a joint conversation about that. So when it comes to what types of change will be permanent and what types of change will not, let's get one step back and really understand and define work. We always have this misexpectation about the definition of work. Work is something you do, not place you go, right? So as you know, all of you already agree to a certain level that we will not go back to the previous situation pre-COVID, and we will not will be 100% remote. It's going to be a sort of hybrid model where, interaction, in-person meetings along with virtual event will be in place, remote plus on-site and things like that. So I think from our conversation, we all agree on that, right? Taking that into place and take to the next level. So for any organization, I believe, to sustain this business challenge, I mean, this new workplace environment, they should take care of three pillars, as you can see here. One related to the cost, as all of our colleagues mentioned, how to manage the cost, how to keep sustaining your business up and running. One of them related to reliability. And you talk about, devices, managing security and things like that. And last pillar is about, predictability, how to predicts things in advance. And when it comes to cost, all of us talk about, security, how to bake security as part of end-to-end security solution, not just, devices itself, not only about, the software, but, end-to-end security solution, resiliency for your application and the entire organization, plus efficiency. And this is really, efficiency, I think this really great topics, because you need to handle your CapEx versus OpEx discussion. You need to minimize your total cost of ownership and maximizing ROI. All of these things need to be taken into consideration. When it comes to reliability of the solution, we need to think about, how to enhance our worker experience. There is no one size fits all, right? The worker experience for salespeople is totally different than, the C-level, totally different than the IT people. So we need to think about that, how to give them something customized. Collaborations and the connectivity. We talk about, Mr. Ashraf talk about, the collaboration evolving over time and the different video conferencing and all of that. And very important thing as well is agility. How to think and baked within our business requirement, the ability to scale up and scale down. As Mr. Ashraf mentioned, overnight, all of us, forced to work from home, and maybe overnight we don't have, a visibility about what really going in the future. So our business need to be scale up and scale down based on the business need. Last thing, which about, artificial intelligence. And we need also to think about how to integrate artificial intelligence in our story, like, using the artificial intelligence. And I believe this is part of right now of most of the telcos company and financial sector, where they have a chatbots. So rather than going and chat with a real agent, an initial chatbot can take place, grabbing the customer concern and then redirect it to the right agent to solve that. Not only that, but also AI can be used to take meeting notes, associate, the calendar invite to the audience, associate ARs and action items, action requests to them, follow up, and send a reminder, all of these things. So this is the bigger picture, how the business requirement will change. And again, we're moving to hybrid environments. So as part of, maximizing your total cost of ownership and maximizing your ROI as well, organization need to think about how to manage their device and the fleet remotely, right? A single device shut down or, corrupted for some reasons can cost organization up to 42 hours of productivity. So you need to intervene in the right time to solve this sort of things. So this is the bigger picture, Anil. So that we need to take care of. Then, and I'm happy that the IT and technology right now, give us the tools and know-how and experience to address all of these concerns.
Great. Well, thanks a lot, Mohammed. I think great insight from you. And, one point that I can take away, or 2 points rather, is one is that security has become paramount in the digital world, and AI, of course, leveraging AI becomes more and more important moving forward, because we are entering into a data-led economy. So being able to leverage AI becomes extremely critical. So I would say that yes, I think great insights from you on how the future is really shaping up. So that's all we have for today. Thank you so much, gentlemen. May I request all the speakers to please come in the center? Can we please have them all in the center? Well, yeah. So thank you so much, gentlemen, for your time. I think you've really shared some really great insights about, how do you really maximize output from a flexible workforce. We had a great discussion. You have shared some really unique insights. So thank you so much. I think it was my pleasure to host all of you for this discussion.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye.
Yeah. Well, that's all we have. Thanks to everyone for watching this. We hope you found it useful. We hope you enjoyed it. And we'll be back again soon with more interesting discussions around other aspects of this topic around the future of workplace. So till then, thank you and goodbye.